I have a camera, I have a mic, I have the sculpture that I'm working on. Let's record it. This is not a tutorial, it's just practice. It's gonna be kind of quiet. And it's kind of in the middle of the progress. I wish I would have done it from the beginning, but whatever. I want to get the basic shape of these big swirls here. Usually, there's a bunch of detail here everywhere, but it's a better idea to start focusing on the big parts. Like on this sculpture, like if I take a look at this hair that I'm working on, this is the biggest part. On the hair, so I want to just make a decent shape out of that first. I want to work on big shapes, then medium shapes, then small shapes. I also want to start usually with big brushes first. But with this lash brush, I can just kind of outline where I want the shape to go. I want it to look nice and cool and flowy and swirly. And it kinda is. I like where this is going. It's looking kinda crazy. This has no detail yet. But yeah. This is the end of the swirl. It's kind of gonna spiral in. I don't have to be too accurate right now. Just like a basic outline. It's all bumpy. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more nice and even. I think this shape might be too big. I need something to break this down here somehow. Like some other kind of swirled in there. It's looking kind of okay from the front. Once you start rotating, this looks ugly. So maybe to me, once it gets too big, it starts looking kind of weird. I don't know where to put this swirl. Maybe if it goes like that. And it feels like I'm going a lot slower than usual. It's kind of weird to hear my voice on the headphones. So I like this better. This big shape maybe can be something else. The resolution on this is not too big, I think. If I zoom in, you can see some of those polys. I'm liking that. Still looks weird. Like it's too much of a perfect swirl. Needed to have like an S shape so that it looks nice and graceful. Like what this is doing here. It's like a cool little S shape. It just happened naturally. I'm gonna define it a little better so that I have less to worry about later, because sometimes it'll look good on this low resolution, but then there'll be spaces like here where I'm gonna need to figure out how to put another swirl in there. Like here. I'm just making it up as I go. I was taking out clay out of this side just randomly, and it started looking like a bundle of hair, like a strand of hair here. I'm sorry if I'm breathing like Darth Vader. Smoothing in a little bit. Trying to make another interesting shape there. And I always try to make S shapes because they look nice when you're well, on this kind of style of hair. Not always, but right now I like how some of this stuff is looking. I'm using Dynamesh. Once in a while I'll hit Control and then just kind of drag outside so that it remeshes my geometry. I need something here. Just probably make a little strand there. Then I'm going back and forth between the slash tool and the clay build-up tool. Slash tool is to make those little deep cuts on the shape, and the clay brush just to even up the big shapes and smooth. It's okay to fast forward. This is just gonna be boring. This might be too big. Maybe I can balance it by adding more little shapes around there, or medium shapes. But it looks kind of cool. There's swirls here, little swirls here, medium swirls, and then this giant one. Kind of balances it out. Kind of. I'm liking most of what's going on here so far. I'm gonna start hitting up the sides. I don't know what this thing is. Looks like a pill. Kind of smooth it out, keeping that swirl. See remesh. And then I'm just freestyling based on the shapes that are already there. Earlier, when it was a rough model, I was just making big lumps and looking at it from kind of a distance to see if it worked based on how it looked at about this kind of profile, and it kind of worked for me. So it's a little bit random. I follow the shapes that are already there. Try not to think about it too much. Like here, I can kind of see a swirl there. I'll try to cut around it. And then it S-shapes that way. And there's like another little part here. There's like a big thing here going that way, and I'm going over it lightly just to see what it looks like. This is a little too bumpy, so just pull it in. Like this big thing, I don't know how it happened, just looking kind of cool. I wish some of this nice little shapes were more obvious over on this back area. So look, this is kind of accidental, but it's like the awesome kind of accidental. Boom. Whoa, this is awesome. Maybe I can try to mimic this up here. This is looking pretty bad. Smooth it out and try to mimic some of these little strokes, some of these shapes back here. And it seems like I was using a reflection brush. Not a reflection brush, but reflected stroke. Oh, the real term is like symmetry. Let's try it. Just like a big one and a small one. So maybe I'll try to do that here too. And the big one and small one, I mean just like this big kind of cylindrical shape here and the smaller one at the bottom. Maybe I want to cut to lay it out. Smooth, sculpt, smooth, sculpt. This is looking okay. There's already like a swirl building there. You can see a line there. I'm gonna turn off my symmetry and then just start working with the shapes that I have there. Like this big shape here. I'll try to make an S There's this other curl here. Curl. And I zoom in and out a lot just to see how my shapes are working. Okay, I like what's going on here. This is looking a little bit too patterned. It gets nice here again on this other swirl. I don't know about this thing. These look nice because they're not so even. Over here, it's too obvious. Not that it matters that much on the back, but it's not looking natural to me right now. I zoom in and out a lot, and I turn, and it just helps me to figure out what's going on and how the overall shape is working. So I like this. If I turn it here, this is looking kind of cool. There's swirls. There's like a little bit of a pattern there. There's a little bit of a nice break in this ribbon holding the hair. So nice little break here. This is swirling kind of okay here. This might be too much pattern. It keeps bothering me, but I don't know what to do yet. So if I turn up randomly, sometimes I'll find something interesting about a shape and just go with it and try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You can just go over it with a different idea. I like what this is doing here. Kinda. Might not work. Yeah, it kinda didn't work quite the way that I wanted it to. I'll turn this off a little bit. Nice smooth. Trying to make sense of what's going on there. See remesh. And the reason why I see remesh a lot is because sometimes when I cut in the surface and then I try to build my shape, it starts like not bending the way that I want it to. So when I see remesh it, kind of normalizes my geometry and I can work it better. And I need to recenter every once in a while because when I'm moving my shape, I move all over the place. And then I want to zoom into a certain place and it ends up being like way down here and I can't work it. Just reframe it. And keep going. This bothers me a lot, but I'm not sure what to do with it. I mean, maybe it doesn't look that bad once you keep it going. Maybe just take, I think this fourth one is too much. It's like a caterpillar. That's better. It's looking really ugly. S shape, natural S shape right there, kind of. Trying to figure out how to do this. Now how about what to do there? Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. Yeah. I hate these patterns. I want to keep looking at the shape to see what I can do. There seems to be a swirl there. That might be better than the ugly pattern that I had. And then let's just make something here, kinda like that. And parts of it are working, parts of them are not, but I do like a lot of what's happening, how it's varied, but then the style still looks similar. There's graciness going here. It's not the greatest. In some of these parts. But I have a general direction for the next step, I think. Yeah. Zoom in. And I want to render just to see what my shadows are looking like. It looks okay. This profile here is not as exciting, but I like that there's a lot of shadows here and here. And back here, you can tell I'm struggling in this area. So yeah. I'll continue this later.